going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an excellent day. I certainly missed all of you. I hope you're doing all right. In these crazy times, we had one of the most insane moves for Bitcoin we have ever seen, and to make matters worse, it is another red day in the markets. However, it is the weekend. And my goodness, have I been looking forward to the weekend, as I'm sure you have as well. We have had one of the most insane price action really we've ever seen in Bitcoin. Now, yes, we have seen 50% corrections before, but never during a supposed bull run, which is really having a lot of people ask the question, is the bull run over, right? I mean, should we really seriously actually be getting concerned? It's fun to be a crypto bull, but this type of movement is definitely a little bit scary. And especially if you're new to the crypto markets, you may have bought Bitcoin higher than this, and you might be down in your portfolio right now asking yourself, did I make the right choice? Should I have sold? Is it over? Are we going into another bear market? Well, you can see right here on the 30-minute chart, we did have a correction, but obviously this V-shaped correction really isn't much to go off of based on just this lower time frame. We need to zoom out. We need to really have a look at what's going on. And this is also one of the reasons why I didn't make a video immediately, because I didn't want to put out one of those emergency videos while the price is all volatile all over the place. We've had a few days to reset. We've had some time to actually put in those candles on the chart. We actually have data that we can use. And for everybody wondering, have I capitulated? Is K-Dub leaving? What is going on? Well, to answer your questions, earmuffs for the kids, please.
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving! The show goes on! This is my home! They're gonna need a fucking wrecking ball to take me out of here. They're gonna need to send in the National Guard or fucking SWAT team, because I ain't going nowhere. Fuck them!
That's right, I am not going anywhere, my friends, and I'm certainly not selling at these levels, but we do realistically need to assess the chart. So in today's video, I want to talk about what is happening fundamentally, what is happening technically, and for anyone who's new, anyone that might have bought too high, maybe you lost some money, maybe a lot of your coins are down today, I want you to stick around all the way to the end of this video. I think it's really important to look at the bigger picture and help assess the situation. And obviously, if you're a long-term hodler, well, opportunities like this is essentially what we've been begging for, right? I want to buy the dip. We get the dip. Are you buying? Should you be buying? Let's talk about that. And guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, definitely get subscribed. And obviously to everybody out there, thank you so much again. Fear and Greed Index back at 19. We were down at an 11 yesterday. This is some of the most incredible fear we have seen in the markets, but let's see what's happening. Let's take it one step at a time. So you can see right here, we talked about this ascending wedge pattern that was forming. We knew we were going to have a breakdown to the downside, but I don't think anyone anticipated that we were going to be going from $60,000 all the way down to $30,000. Now, we did have some speculation. Shout out to a handful of analysts that had mentioned those levels. But let's be honest, the majority of us were not anticipating a 54% correction. But nevertheless, it's happened. So where do we go from here? Well, you can see we are still in this descending channel, and we are still putting in lower highs, right here, and right here, as well as lower lows. So this is showing us that the trend has been our friend, but the trend appears to be reversing, or at least in the short term. So this does beg the question, was this the bottom, or do we actually have to go lower? I have heard some people say that we need to retest the old 20K high. Are we actually going to go down to $20,000 Bitcoin? Well, having a look at what we're doing right now, the candle that we closed yesterday actually closed above the 200 daily moving average. Unfortunately, we've fallen below our good old buddy, the 21 exponential, the 50, and the 100, looking to put in a death cross right here, right? You're actually going to have those averages move over themselves. So what's happening? Well, we have a lot of bearish signals at the top. It looks like currently we have been able to hold a daily candle above the 200 daily, which is great. I mean, this shows that there was that buying. Someone was buying. Someone was stepping in. Obviously, people were anticipating these lows. They were waiting. They were salivating at these prices. But is this 200 daily moving average, which is sort of kind of what's going to decide whether or not we're in a bull market versus a bear market, actually going to hold? Well, you can see right here that despite all this crazy movement that we had down here, we do still find ourselves back in these levels that we were looking at, which is 42,000, 40,000, and 38,000. So we are kind of bouncing around in the original range where we had anticipated to find some support. So if we do potentially take this lower wick out and have a look at where we've been closing, this is actually kind of the range that we wanted to be in initially, but we did have that landslide preceding it, right? But keep in mind, my friends, we have a lot of resistance now. Unfortunately, all of that support that was holding us up previously is now going to act as some severe resistance. And you can see right here, exactly at that $42,000 level, which was so important right here, that is now acting as our current resistance that we got rejected off today. We also have this giant descending wedge that we were in as well, which is also going to provide a lot of resistance. And even if we are able to break out of that, we have a lot of area up here around the VPVR between 48,000 and 49,000. So do I actually think that the worst is over and it's just blue skies from here? To be completely honest, I am very skeptical about the short-term price action for Bitcoin. It is not out of the cards for us to retest even down to this VPVR of about 33,000. There was a lot of interest down here, lots of people that bought down there, and psychologically, if you bought in at that level, don't forget Tesla, specifically bought in at that level, although I kind of don't want to really talk about them too much at this moment. We do know that that is a very important level, especially for the institutions. You can see right here, though, this blue box territory, which was so important for our support, is acting as our resistance. So we're kind of in this very, very tight wedge right here between essentially the essentially between the 200 daily and this crazy support flip resistance that we have right here. So it's kind of hard to really make a move. I mean, I'm sure some people say they know exactly what's going to happen. I would be completely lying if I said I knew exactly what was going to happen at this point. I think the markets have been shook, right? There's a lot of people that are scared. There's a lot of investors that are looking at this, saying, oh my goodness, a 54%, I think it was 54% from the top to the bottom. It's 53.6%, which is, crazy for a bull run. And obviously, if you're a traditional Wall Street veteran, I mean, this type of price action is unheard of, really, in traditional stocks, especially in, those types of stocks that really have that type of credit, and we have seen institutions come in. So what do we look at right here? Well, the most important thing really for me right now is I want to see us to put in. One candle's all right for me, but I'd like to see more candles above this 200 daily, because obviously if we zoom out right here, we could see the importance of the exponential 200 as well as the daily 200. And it's very important to stay above these levels. Once we fall below these levels, that's kind of when we go into the danger zone, right? Now, currently we did fall below it during the wick, but we are struggling to hold above it now. So I would like us to see, what I would like for us to see is essentially to put in an end of a week candle sort of above this 200 daily, which I know I'm looking at the daily and the weekly at the same time. But for me, I need to see an actual support built, a structure being built. And another thing I'd like to see is for us to put in some kind of a higher high, which unfortunately, in order for us to do that, we would have to come all the way back up to about the $58,000 level on the macro to really do that. Now, on the short-term time frame, sure, you could be scalping it up and down, but really, to officially say the bull run has continued, we do need to put in something back up here to minimally at least get higher than this little daily that we had right here. So until we get back into that zone, it's hard to really say it's officially still a bull market. You understand? And ultimately, you'd obviously want to get above this too, this 60,000, which was the most recent. So really, this area right here is the key level that we want to get back up to. Now, that's a long way to go. Now, keep in mind, okay, we've seen how quick Bitcoin can fall. It can also go up quick as well. However, in my honest opinion, after moves like this, it's not common to see an instant rebound. Now, look, I could be wrong. We could wake up Monday, Bitcoin could be $50,000, and we could just put this all behind us and forget about it. In my honest opinion, with my 5 years in the markets looking at these charts, this is going to take some time to recover. Now, before you panic, this could potentially be the opportunity that you've been waiting for, especially if you've been dollar cost averaging. If you bought Bitcoin above these levels, if you bought the all-time high, right? You may be saying to yourself, well, this sucks. Well, just remember, having a look at the ultimate Bitcoin chart right here, it really doesn't matter anywhere that you bought the all-time high. If you bought the all-time high here, or you bought the all-time high here, or you bought the all-time high here, or you bought this little mini pump that we had here, you're still in profit, right? So Bitcoin has shown us that it is the honey badger. It doesn't care, right? You buy the high, it ends up going higher anyway. But in the short term, I can understand, what you're going through, especially if you're new to the crypto market. So two things that are interesting right now is that we do still have a CME futures gap up at around $49,100. Now, as much as people like to say that these gaps are memes, they don't mean anything, it's just coincidence. Look, guys, we tend to close these gaps. For whatever reason, the universe decides that these gaps are going to get closed, whether they be a self-fulfilling prophecy or not. It is inevitable. It has happened every single time. So I do believe that at some point, we could potentially see Bitcoin come back up here and at least close this gap the same way that we closed the previous gap right here that we had, right? Bitcoin fell all the way down to 46,000. We did, in fact, close the gap, and then we continued to tread downwards as well. So I do see that happening in the future. However, I'm not 100% confident that we will be able to break that resistance because we have a lot of support right here on the CME futures chart, which is a very important futures chart, also around the $53,000 level. So we've already just in this video alone named 3 very important resistances that Bitcoin needs to break above. This is not going to be easy. This is not going to be something that happens tomorrow. It will be something that happens inevitably, and those who do have the willpower to hold Bitcoin through these turbulent times will be rewarded, as I have shown you in the past. But that is what we need to do. Now, before we move on, I do actually have to give a massive shout out to Uncomplication. Now, this was a crazy pattern that he had pointed out, a fractal, and I actually had a few people mention to me to have a look into this, and he was essentially talking about this Wyckoff distribution schematic that did represent tops, and it was incredible how much we were following this exactly. However, something interesting happened. So you could see right here, and, shout out, he definitely pointed this out, how Bitcoin was following this exact pattern. But here was something interesting that happened. Right around the $50,000 level, Bitcoin decided to then veer off of this Wyckoff distribution. So when I saw this, I said to myself, okay, so obviously we were looking for a fractal. We found a fractal. And, obviously the whales, had seen this and it wasn't playing out as most fractals tend to not play out. But then what ended up happening was we fell down anyway. And one thing that I've been thinking about, that I've been talking about on this channel and also on my Twitter account, is the fact that we were just seeing insane amounts of FUD coming out. I mean, literally every article back to back on Bloomberg was Bitcoin FUD with energy, Bitcoin FUD with price, Bitcoin FUD with store of value news. It was crazy. Then we had the Elon Musk. Then we had the Tesla news come out, right? And I was saying to myself, this seems coordinated. This seems like somebody doesn't want the price to go higher. And nevertheless, we know that retail does not have the power to move prices like this. They saw we were catching on, they gave us a fake out, and then they pulled the boat back anyway, right? And what I do believe is happening right now is that the institutional money, the whale money, whoever it is, we don't know who these guys are, the billionaires club, they realized that they missed the boat. They are pulling the boat back. And sadly, unfortunately, I would love to say that Bitcoin is big enough to be able to resist this type of manipulation. But as big as the market cap is for Bitcoin, it is still extremely small when you look at it in the global infrastructure, right? Now, having a look right here, you're probably saying, well, if Bitcoin can be manipulated by guys like Elon Musk and whales, then forget about it. It hasn't, then it's failed. It hasn't done its job. Well, as Bob Lucas points out, Bitcoin has gone through crashes 3 times the size of the 1929 stock market crash every 18 to 24 months. Since inception, yet 95% of people are shocked. That's right, not a store of value today. It is a speculative vehicle. History does repeat. Greed never changes. Fast money gets cleaned out and discipline wins. And getting back to the chart again, long term, we know that Bitcoin has proven itself. And also, not to mention the fact, I just kind of want to zoom in. Do you guys realize that this crash was pretty bad, right? 54%. But this is actually what we're panicking about. This right here is actually what we're panicking about. And if you're new, if you just got in, I understand. But zoom out, my friends. This is a logarithmic chart that has had multiple runs, right? So let's talk about what could potentially be happening here. Let's discuss. So I've heard the talks of super cycles. I've heard the talks of 100K, 250K Bitcoin. I still believe that in this cycle, we are going to be going to a $250,000 Bitcoin. However, we may be experiencing something like what we saw back here, where we had this this June Bitcoin high of around $33, right? Which would have been our previous run. Then we came all the way down, we came up here, and we had sort of like a mini bull run where we went up to 257, but then we fell all the way back down to $50, okay? And it was almost like a mini market, a mini bull run cycle within the macro cycle where Bitcoin eventually topped out at around $1,180, right? So you can see right here, we had the first bull run, then we had our bear market. Then we had this massive bull rally. But then we had a major correction that lasted for a few months before finally topping off at our next peak. And I think we could be seeing something like that again. Something like maybe where for the next month, not that it seems doom and gloom, but it does seem like, wow, Bitcoin's not really moving. It's not really looking like it wants to get towards the highs. We may even put in another lower low, where we then go into those boring low volume sideways consolidations before having this massive candle like we had here back in November of 2013. I don't think that's out of the card. So to answer your question, do I think we're entering a bear market? I don't think we're entering a Bitcoin bear market, right? It may be a bear market as far as traditional finance is concerned. I think we may potentially enter a chance, just basically a sideways consolidation pattern for a few months. And we originally did have these outlooks where we said, sometime in August, maybe September, October, we were going to have this blow off top for Bitcoin. We may have actually just pushed that back a little bit farther. And while some of you may be saying, well, that's terrible, I was hoping to cash in those quick gains. Well, I'm sorry, guys. That's just how the market is. That's how the market works. And as these things happen, we do need to reassess them. I still think we're going to be putting in an all-time high for Bitcoin again, and I think we could be going up to these crazy levels of 100K to 200K, but now, given what I've seen, I think it may take longer than expected. We may be looking for a Bitcoin top sometime next year. I can't give you an exact date just yet. I don't really know. I'd have to do a little more analysis on the charts. Could be maybe next summer, or potentially we just push the entire bull market 1 year, behind, but excellent opportunity to accumulate if you do believe in Bitcoin, in my opinion. Now, I do want to give a little bit of a warning to my altcoin hodlers out there. Now, last time we had a situation like this was in December, and then in January we saw the altcoins run. However, we've seen something a little bit different as far as Bitcoin dominance versus what we've seen with the price action. we actually saw Bitcoin dominance fall while Bitcoin price remained somewhat stable, obviously until recently. So you can actually see, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? Trying to get the thing right here, guys. All right, so Bitcoin was taking this massive nosedive. Now, this was the all-time high for Bitcoin, but it was not the all-time highs for the altcoins. The altcoins continued to rally as Bitcoin price fell. Then we had a little bit of a bounce where altcoins fell, Bitcoin price went up. One more W, and then bear market commenced, and we stayed there for quite some time. However, this time around, it's been very different. We had Bitcoin dominance fall from 73% all the way down to 39%, while Bitcoin price remained stable, which means we did have the altcoin rally. We did have the alt season. In hindsight, when you actually look at it, we did have alt season, okay? It just didn't happen the way that we thought it was going to happen. And what I think may potentially happen if we do have this, drawn out longer Bitcoin super cycle, whatever you want to call it, I do see Bitcoin dominance reclaiming itself. I see it minimally at least hitting this resistance back at 52%, which means that there will be some altcoins that are going to outpace Bitcoin, but I think that Bitcoin is probably going to outpace the majority of some of the altcoins during this cycle. Now, that was another thing I spoke about, we needed to clean up these markets. We needed to wash these markets out. I mean, coins, like there was an ass coin, okay? Shiba Inu, Pube coin, Cum Rocket. Come on, guys. Like, be realistic here. Like, the things that were happening on TikTok, the market was a clown market. It made no sense. It needed to be cleaned. It needed to be flushed out. And, I'm going to be realistic. I was on Twitter earlier today, and I still see people talking about these shit coins. And I'm not talking I don't use a blanket term for shit coin. I don't think Chainlink is a shit coin. Ethereum is a shit coin. I'm talking about real shit coins, guys. And you know what I'm talking about. These meme coins that have absolutely no purpose, no function, except to just be absolute shit. Like, really, they have no actual purpose except to speculate on low volume. Most people are going to get wrecked. Some people are even going to get rug pulled, right? So I would be very careful with the altcoins moving forward. If you are looking to hold altcoins during this cycle, I would look to the ones that actually have working products. Look at the blue chips. Look at the ones that have the teams. Look at the ones that are actually solving real world problems, right? I don't need to go over those. You guys know the coins that are out there. You know what Elrond is doing. You know what Polkadot is doing. You know what Cardano is doing, what Chainlink is doing, all right? And obviously, if I missed a few, you know what I'm talking about. You know the difference between a good project and a bad project, okay? You should at least this point if you've been, watching this channel for long enough. But the thing that was also one of the sort of red flags, I guess, that we had seen was there was a lot of Bitcoin balances rising on exchanges, right? We had seen inflows into exchanges. This did somewhat signal that maybe they were looking to sell. Did we sort of overlook this? Probably should have taken it a little bit more seriously, but obviously, that's the problem. You get emotionally involved. You get very high on your own supply, right, so to speak, and that happens. However, recently, strong institutional buying has been happening on this dip. And as you can see over here, this is one of the co-founders of Glassnode. Whatever Bitcoin lows we will see this summer, they won't be for long. Might as well hodl through. And actually, recently, we have seen a lot of Bitcoin then again moved off exchanges. So, like I said, guys, when we miss the boat, we miss the boat. When the institutions miss the boat, well, they bring the boat back, and it looks like that is exactly what happened. Obviously, this was coupled with, ridiculously high amounts of leveraged longs as well. In fact, as the price fell down to that $42,000 level, you saw a huge volume of more longs coming in as well during a time where the markets were not really that healthy. It was actually a very scary time to be in that volatility, and you had to be quick to scalp it. But I want to end you on this one video. And this was an interview at CNBC with Mark Yusko. He is over at Morgan Creek, and he gave his opinion on what is happening right now. Is he worried about this 50% dip? This guy has much more experience than I have. He's been involved in this space way longer than the majority of people watching. And I wanted to end on what he had to say because I think it really helps to clarify the overall sentiment, but also reality of what is happening right now.
The average drawdown from a record high has been about 48%. and a series of higher lows. The numbers have gotten bigger, so it's more scary, I think. But this is actually not a new thing for crypto, is it?
No, not Brian. It's such a great set of stats and not new at all. Look, an asset that has compounded at 223% per year for 11 years has to have volatility. It has the same volatility as Amazon stock, 80%. And to your point on Bitcoin drawdowns, Amazon every year in its 24 years of life has had a double-digit drawdown, including this year. The average drawdown in Amazon stock is 31%, 5 times over 50%, twice over 90%. When was the right time to sell Amazon? That would be never. So volatility is not your enemy. It's your friend. You want volatile assets. Now, what you want is upside volatility. Downside volatility is painful. But over the long term, holding an asset that has volatility is the whole point of investing.
You know, I'm going to do what everybody else does, Mark. I'm going to blame the media, okay? Why not? I'm just going to throw it out there. If something goes from $11 to $5.25, $5, that's about a 53% drawdown. That doesn't get a lot of attention. But when something goes from 65,000 to 30,000, it's the same drawdown, but because the numbers are so much bigger, it's going to naturally get attention. As you pointed out in Fast Money, like 2 years ago, the key is the long term and the series of higher lows. Every time it falls to a higher low in Bitcoin. You still see that uptrend continuing, I assume.
Yeah, look, the real problem, Sully, and we've talked about this in the past too, is price is a liar, right? The price of an asset is not its value. The value of the asset is determined by the fundamentals. And the fundamentals of Bitcoin, of Ethereum, of cryptocurrency broadly, of blockchain technology broadly, are all increasingly getting better. And they're getting better at an accelerating rate. The price is what two people decide to exchange an asset for. And unfortunately, what happens is we go from investors buying things because they think the price is below the fair value to traders who buy things when prices move up or down, to speculators who buy things because the price is going up. And unfortunately, in the past year, we have a whole bunch of gamblers who got free money from the government who are buying things, and they're buying on leverage. And what happened in the last couple of days is a whole bunch of levered traders, people who were 20 times, 50 times, in some cases 100 times levered, got margin called. And they need to get flushed out. This is a healthy correction. We need this to get the money back to the investors, and assets flow to their rightful owners. If you're hitting the panic button selling today, think somebody is buying. Yeah. Who's buying?
So that being said, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. I will continue to make these updates. As you guys do know, I haven't been able to make updates every single day. This has nothing to do with the recent price action. I mean, you know, if you just check my recent videos, I do have a lot going on. Keep in mind, guys, I've been doing this for over 4 years. Okay, this channel's been running for quite some time. I've brought you over thousands of videos on this channel at this point. And, you know, I do have a lot of stuff that I'm doing in my personal life right now, a lot of other things that are going on. So I don't want you guys to freak out. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving. I'm not selling. But if I don't make update videos every single day, it's not because, you know, I don't have like faith in the market or anything like that. It's just, I'd rather bring you videos when they actually need to be brought, when there's actually situations that need to be discussed, things we need to talk about, rather than just every single day just updating for no reason, right? When there's good news or there's something I'm seeing in the technicals that I really want to share with you, I'll absolutely share that. And I do recommend you follow, subscribe to the channel. Also, head on over to Twitter. I was a little more active on Twitter during the past few days, so it's at the CryptoZombie if you guys want to check that out. And obviously, if you guys are looking to trade on things like Bybit, one of the biggest problems is, learning how to trade profitably, but of course, most importantly, responsibly. How do you trade responsibly? How do you use stop losses? How do you learn to analyze these charts? How do you ladder in buys, etc.? If you're interested in learning how to do that, it is not recommended for beginners, as you can tell. like Mark Yusko said, definitely a lot of over-leveraged longs, but if you are interested, I recommend you try it on a paper account first, so you're trading with funds that aren't even, if you lose them, who cares, right? It's just on paper, and then once you get more comfortable, you can, use lower leverage. But guys, I mean, obviously at the end of the day, just buying and hodling has been the strategy, the proven strategy. So that is it for me, guys. Be safe out there. I'll continue to make these updates as I see fit, and make sure if you haven't checked out these videos right here, check them out right now. And until next time, stay safe, stay crypto, and of course, peace out.
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving! The show goes on! This is my home! They're gonna need a fucking wrecking ball to take me out of here! They're gonna need to send in the National Guard or fucking SWAT team, because I ain't going nowhere!